So good morning, everyone. My name is Jairus Raymond Obrador. I'm the Applications Engineer Supervisor for Maximum Solutions Corporation. I'm also a certified instructor, a certified professional for Revit Architecture, Revit MEP Mechanical, Revit MEP Electrical, and Inventor. So as Mom Che said, we are a gold partner of Autodesk. And we are also an authorized training center and an authorized certification center. So we're here to talk about the new features of Inventor 2021. Inventor 2021 delivers customer-driven improvements. So these are enhancements which are requested by the Inventor user community. And Inventor 2021 also continues to deliver professional grade functionality. So this is in the case of performance while you're working with larger and more complex designs. So Inventor 2021 also delivers connected and automated workflows. So with the help of the AnyCAD technology, Autodesk extends Inventor's interoperability to Revit to help manufacturers in the construction industry collaborate and coordinate on BIM projects. So sheet formats and iLogic make it easier than ever to automate the creation of drawings to your CAD standards. So as I've said, it's very nice that half of you know both Revit and Inventor. So this collaboration will help the BIM process, which is the building information modeling process, in terms of detailing and manufacturing and fabricating. So we have divided this webinar into 8 sections. So 8 sections we have. First is the Inventor experience. So the changes made by Autodesk in terms of the user interface. And next we're going to discuss about the AnyCAD for Revit, which is the highlight of this webinar. So basically, the interoperability between Inventor and Revit has now been added to the portfolio. Also, we'll talk about the performance enhancements and as well as customer-driven improvements for the part modeling environment, assembly modeling environment, drawing creation environment, and frame generator environment. And lastly, we'll talk about some improvements in terms of creating drawing sheets. So there's now automation using iLogic in Inventor. So now for the Inventor experience, as I've said, Autodesk has listened mostly to the users, and the users are actually requesting for a dark theme, which is a way that people can actually use the software in low light environments, and also the addition of the property panel, which is very great for decluttering your workspace. So basically, this is the feel of the dark theme. So in this video that's playing in your screen, so as you can see in the application options, the dark theme has been added, and as you can see, there is a parenthesis saying it's pre-release. So actually, it's still in tech preview, meaning not all design environments in Inventor had already migrated to the dark theme. So some of the commands are still in the light mode. And also, most of the commands, such as you can see here, the split command, are now migrated to the property panel. So the property panel is the panel that you can see on the left side of the interface. So from commands like this, which is bend, so it's very easy now to locate on where the window of the ribbon is. And there is also a function which allows you to create presets. For example, in this command, which is coil, You can now set a particular preset in terms of length and pitch. So without you having to type the parameters again and again. So there's now this preset mode. Now we move to the AnyCAD for Revit. So AnyCAD, for those who don't know what AnyCAD is, so this is a technology wherein in Inventor, you don't have to really convert foreign files into a native file format for you to be able to open it in the Inventor environment. So basically, you can just go ahead and um, open your SolidWorks file, your SketchUp files, your DWG files in Inventor without the conversion process. So now this feature has been added to the Revit files. So in the sense, you can actually maintain the associativity of the Revit file. So you can actually reference it into your Inventor model, and you can also select custom 3D views from the Revit model. And the best thing about this is the information and 3D models in the Revit environment will be accessed as individual features in the Inventor environment. So I have a video here which summarizes the whole workflow. So in this case, there's this Revit project, and you want to um, place this in your BIM 360 so that the fabricator, which is also a member of the BIM 360 team, can now access the model from the cloud. So it uh, doesn't necessarily need to be in the cloud, but you can also do this locally, of course. And then you can select the particular 3D view that you want to open or reference in Inventor. And while in Inventor, you can access every individual feature in the model browser. And now the fabricator can now start doing the um, components. In this case, it's a canopy component. So we can do some modeling, do some assembly modeling, part modeling, and etc. And then afterwards, if the architect or the BIM modeler applies some changes in our Revit file, since we have referenced it to our Inventor file, changes will be reflected once that we update our Inventor file. And now here in Inventor, you can do some stress analysis. You can create drawing sheets. So that's the reason why you want to do this in Inventor for the detail and the parts. And then you can now author this as a BIM component, in which once you've authored this, you can now export it into a file, which is an IFC format or an RFA format, in this case, an RFA, and you can place it manually back in the Revit environment. So later on, I'll show you how to do it. So we'll have a technical demonstration later on. So for now, we'll talk about more of the features, such as the performance improvements. So it's very common in the current releases that performance is actually very fast when opening large and complex files. All right. So improvements in the updating of files, so for opening and updating, has been applied, so as well as improved performance in assemblies, since in assemblies you have a lot of parts placed in a single design environment. So in performance is key to navigate these components. And of course, graphics has been improved so that you can really have a smooth navigation of your 3D models. So for assembly design, performance has been improved when inserting sub-assemblies from the time of insertion to the time that you have control over the sub-assembly position, eliminating the wait time before you start to place your components. Inventor 2021 is now faster to respond when selecting many components at one time using window selection or component filtering. And also, as you can see in the video, quicker visibility toggling has now been implemented. So the responsiveness of the component-related features in the assembly environment has been improved. As you can see here, a pattern has been placed or has been updated uh, into more patterns like this. And then as you can see, once that you toggle the visibility of your adaptive components on, it will completely cover all the pattern in the design. So it's very snappy now. It's very fast in terms of displaying all those 3D objects in your assemblies. So let's move to the customer-driven enhancements. So first for part modeling. So selections for multi-bodied components has been improved, and as well as the unwrap enhancement. So you can now flatten your design without having to go within the sheet metal, excuse me, without going to the sheet metal design environment in Inventor. So also there are improvements in terms of 3D annotations, and you can now also display extended information in the model browser. And also for the sheet metal flange options, you can now reference a different plane or a different face for the angle of your flange. So window selection has been added, as I've said, providing support for selecting multiple bodies or multiple faces, using a familiar left to right window to select all objects inside the window, or right to left to select all the objects that are inside or crossing the window's boundary. On the model browser, extended information now applies to work features, as you can see in the video. The unwrap command allows for flat patterning of components outside the sheet metal environment. Improved in 2021, the unwrap command now allows for multiple planar holes to be held rigid and has a new option for aligning the unwrapped surface. For sheet metal, a new option in the flange command allows flanges to be aligned using reference face as an input. So now you can angle it through a face. So to help create a full 3D model-based definition, support has been added to 3D annotations to allow the referencing of custom eye properties into leader notes and general annotations. To complete the round trip of product model information, support has been added for both import and export of files containing 3D annotations into the JT standard. Okay, so this is the sample of the 3D annotations, and now you can import and export it as a JT standard file. So next is the customer-driven improvements for the assembly modeling. So for the general assembly modeling design environment, save enhancements has been issued. So now you can see the save state of each part of your assembly. And also for design accelerators, you can actually have the choice to place a sub-assembly into your assembly, or you can place that sub-assembly as parts into your assembly. So that means there won't be a specific section in your assembly wherein there is a sub-assembly. So everything will be on parts. And for tube and piping, file naming has been improved, and also most of the commands for tube and pipe have been migrated to the property panel. So we have extended the file naming defaults dialog to the mirror and copy commands. So we've continued to make improvements to file naming for frame generator and tube and pipe designs. So for tube and pipe, we have implemented the routing command as a new property panel, allowing you to create and apply your routes while keeping the command running. So speeding up the development of your tube and pipe routes. So to help you structure your assembly environment, we've rolled out the functionality last seen in the shaft component generator to bolted connections. So in this example, notice that the new option to disable the subassembly structure with the option active, no folder or subassembly will be created on disk. So the individual components will be inserted directly into your assembly. So this gives you more options for structuring your assembly and organizing your data to best suit your needs. You'll notice the difference immediately when you look at the assembly structure in the browser. So when saving files, we've added a new option to help set default behavior for whether files should be saved or not, and a new save state column so that you can see the save state of that particular part. So that's it for the assembly modeling environment. Now let's move to the customer-driven enhancements for drawing creation. So there's a new feature here wherein for parallel diameters, you can now apply the stroked O symbol in front of the dimension. And you can also now align perpendicular to a selected edge. And measure command now is back in the drawing creation environment. So you can also now create a shaded look for your reference parts. So if you're referencing a part, you can now view them as dashed lines. So components set to reference in the Inventor bill of materials have a new visibility option in drawings, which is the reference files in colors, so with or without dashed lines. So the ability to add automated center lines to drawing views has been made easier to discover with a new button for automated center line command in the ribbon. When dimensioning your views, we've improved the ability for Inventor to detect diameter dimensions inside or section views, even when selecting parallel geometry. And the new rotated option in the general dimension command allows you to rotate dimension to any drawing geometry. To help you complete your documentation, we've streamlined the workflow for copying and pasting general tables within drawing sheets. So the measure tool has returned to the drawing environment, allowing the ability to take additional measurements from Inventor drawings without creating additional annotations. So for the frame generator design environment in Inventor, improvements such as migrating the commands into the property panel has been done. And also for file naming of the frames. So for the members, individual members of the frame, it's now been improved. So of course, as well as the appearance and the zoom and view controls for each member. And also, there's this new feature in which you can trim and extend your frame members to a curved surface, and also additional profiles has been added within the notch command. So we've continued to make improvements to the file naming dialog, allowing you more detailed control of your naming schemes for frame generator components, including a new ability to set a file name of the component to the same as the display name in the browser. So when creating frames, a new category filter allows you to narrow down your selection, and preset configurations now help you to save your most frequently used frame settings for use again later. So geometry can now be filtered from within the property panel, and new preview glyph helps you orient your frame to your selected skeleton geometry. Once you've selected your geometry, new zoom tools help you to orient your frame by adjusting your view to look directly at the frame section or an isometric view of the frame member you are placing before zooming back to the entire design. So the frame member trim tool has now been improved, allowing you to trim members to a curved frame And for end treatments, 2 new notch profiles have been added, extending notch support to IT and C profile channels. So for frame generator in Inventor 2021, frame member reuse command has had a significant overhaul, making it easier to reuse existing frame members. To populate your skeleton geometry, select a member that you would like to reuse, then Windows select all the geometry that you'd like to analyze. Inventor will place reused members wherever they fit. Additional tools in the change reuse member command helps you orient your reused components by zooming in to the profile you're working on and reorienting them in the frame generator panel or using the in canvas controls. So for the last section, which is the drawing automation, so these are improvements in iLogic. So basically in iLogic, you can code the following supported annotations. So it has been added in there. So sheet formats in Autodesk Inventor are a great way to start a new drawing. The drawing views of your design automatically generated from a pre-selected model. So in Inventor 2021, we've made sheet formats easier to find by adding them into the dialog for drawing creation. View layouts saved as sheet formats now retain view settings such as edge display, and we've included a new fit to view option to automatically scale your views to fit on your sheet. Sheet formats now support flat patterns for part models and parts lists for assemblies, all automatically populated from the model you referenced during sheet creation. To further help you automate the creation of drawings, we've improved the ability for iLogic to add dimensions, whole notes, and balloons from labeled features. We've also added support to change drawing styles using iLogic, making it easier to change styles to suit your customer or batch edit styles to AnyCAD standards compliance. So basically, sheet formats in iLogic make it easier than ever to automate the creation of drawings to your CAD standards in Inventor 2021. So now let's move to the technical presentation of the AnyCAD functionality for Revit. So while I switch my screens, you can type your questions if you have questions regarding the new features. Yes, so hopefully you can see my whole screen right now. So can I have a confirmation that the screen is now shared so you can either see my Inventor and my Revit application?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Um, so now, first I want to show you the property panel. So let me just go ahead here and create a new part file. And then here I'm gonna do some extrusion. So I can create a simple sketch like a rectangle right here. And as long as I click on finish sketch, as you can see, there is this property panel that you can see. So in also comes in the dark UI interface, wherein it's float. It can be floating, and it can be docked as well. So I prefer it to be docked beside my model browser. If I click OK here, so again, it's a tech preview, and not every command has been migrated to the dark interface. So if I click here my fillet command, as you can see, it's still in white interface, and it's still a floating window outside of the properties panel, right? So basically, Inventor is trying to move everything here on the properties panel so that it's easier to see and easier to declutter your workspace if you have a small screen and etc. Okay, so if I close this one, so let's just close this guy. Let's not save that. Okay, so also in the home view, as you can see, it's not yet in the dark mode. It's still white. It's very white, so it's really gonna hurt your eyes if you're working on low light environments. And also, a quick tip here: if you want to see the new features, you can now actually highlight them here in the highlight new. So you can see in the ribbon section, you can also view what's new from Revit 2020, from Revit 2019. So if if you came from Revit 2018 and you want to view the new features for 2021, you just hit this and you can now see all the marked tabs and ribbons that are new in the interface. So anyway, let's just move to our AnyCAD functionality. So basically here, I have an open IAM file. So this means we are in the assembly modeling environment. And also here in Revit, I can open this particular Revit file. This particular architectural file. So this is that. This is the 3D model of that. So you have um, things like escalators, railings, lighting fixtures, and etc. So you have that all. But you also have a view wherein all those detailed items or all those families are hidden. So in Inventor, if you want to place a Revit file, you have to place it as a imported CAD file. So in this case, I don't have to actually convert the Revit file into a DWG file or whatsoever. So I can just directly reference this into my assembly. And now I have the option to import it as a convert model. So if you want to convert it, but in this case, I don't want to convert it. I want to reference the model so that if the architect will do some changes, it will be reflected in my Inventor model. And now, as you can see, I have the choice on what 3D view I will get from the Revit file, right? So in this case, I don't want to get the whole 3D view. I want to actually get a lesser 3D view without all those families. So in this case, I want 3D exterior solar shading view, which is this view. Does not contain every item. So it will help me in actually loading the file faster because it has lesser components. So now it's gonna export the Revit file. And then once it's finished, we can now place it to anywhere we like. So in this case, I'm gonna ground this at my origin. And then since I'm not placing it anymore, I can hit on escape here. And then there we have it. We have our Revit model inside our Inventor environment. So also in this environment, as I've said, you can access individual features on it. So now I can also select this canopy and other canopies here because these are the ones that I want to actually have a detailed item on. So if I open here a sample file or a file that we're going to open for, or we're going to use as a detailed item. So this is the file. So we want to actually place this more detailed file in the place of the less detailed canopies modeled in Revit. Okay. So as you can see here, what I'll do first is I can actually find them in my model browser and select them all here. And then I can toggle the visibility on and off. so that there will be a place for my detailed components, which is this, in the assembly. So again, why do you want to detail here in Inventor? Because there are functionalities such as the iLogic functionality. So here I have a form made in iLogic, which is a way for you to have a dynamic design. So for example, here I can vary the depth of my slats, and then I can also do some angular changes in my canopy and the overhang, and I can also vary some thickness right here. So if I apply these changes, it will be immediately reflected on my design, as you can see. So this is why you want to model here in Inventor. So not that you can't do this in Revit, but it's even harder in Revit to perform um, tasks like this in the family creation environment. So in this case, I'm just gonna reset it to the basic configuration. So again, I'm just showing you one of the reasons why you will want to model here in Inventor. And also one other thing, you can also have drawing sheets, automated drawing sheets actually, like this, when you're working in Inventor. So you can actually explode those parts. You can have installation sequences made here. And as you can see, it's very detailed in terms of the bolts, the nuts, and the washers that you will have to use for this particular component. So it's very nice to detail your objects or your families here in Inventor. If you are going to have a manufactured family for your architecture design, or um, this is not only for architecture families, so you can also do this for MEP families as well. So for the tube and piping and etc. So going back to our presentation here, so we want to place this detailed item into this, into our reference Revit model. So first, what we need to do here is to create reference points. So I'll create a reference part. So the reference part will allow us to place some points wherein we can place points of insertion for this part, for our canopy part. So in this case here, I'll first create some sketches. Okay, I'll create sketches out of this plane. And then since I want to place the canopy in this point or in this area, so I'll create points of insertion right here. So first I can project some geometry. So let's say I'm projecting them as construction lines like this. So I'll just do this level. I'm not gonna do the other level. So I'll convert this to construction lines as well. Then I'll finish the sketch. And then what I'll do here is I can actually place points. So I'll place points here. I'll place points also here and also here. So I can place another one here, another one here, and here. So I have now a total of 6 points. So I can also do the other side. So I'll do that as well. So I can actually start a 2D sketch, let's say in this plane. And now here, what I'm going to do is I can create projected geometry once again for here and here and here. So I'm not gonna project the whole line. So what I'll do here is I'm gonna finish sketch, and here I can place my points again. So I'll place one right here, one right here, and one right here. So instead of doing other points here in this section, what I can do is I can actually instead do a pattern. So I can actually pattern them instead. So I can have a rectangular pattern right here of the feature of that point, and then select the direction. And let's say since there are 4 slots for our canopy, I'll say 4. And here I can type on the separation of each point. So as you can see right here, I can now see other points here, and I'll do the same for the other points. So I'll pattern them. So this line and then the direction according to this plane to flip, and then that. So this might be the boring part of this presentation, since this is only doing patterns, but please bear with me. So I'm just creating more and more patterns for our points. So now there we have it. We have set these patterns. So next thing I will do is we're going to insert this assembly into our model with those reference points. So before that, I'm just going to return to the assembly environment, which is this. And then now I can use iCopy, so another good feature of Inventor. So I'm going to get this assembly. And then now it's gonna prompt me to choose on selected points. So in this case, I can select points within my model browser or within my drawing space. So I'll do it in my model browser. So as you can see, I have a slight problem here. So what I'll do is I'm gonna put this above, and then I'm gonna unground this, and this is what I'm gonna ground. Then we'll do it again. So now again, I can choose my points, point 1, point 2. So in this case, we're not getting the error. And now as you can see, it's a perfect fit now. Then I can click next. So what's gonna happen is Inventor's gonna create those parts on your disk. So now it's loading. So since it's creating the parts on disk, so you can also do the same here. So we'll do that. So I copy assembly, and then we can just go ahead and select point 4, point 5, and point 6. So of course, this is gonna be cumbersome if you do this individually, right? So we'll do this on the patterned components right here, or the patterned points. So as you can see, it's much easier if you're placing it on patterned features. So in this case, I'm going for the patterned feature, and let's choose on work point 1. So as you can see, all the points are highlighting. So point 2 and point 3. So once I click on next and OK, as you can see here, Inventor is trying to copy these files or create files on my disk with these iCopy assemblies. So as you can see, it's very fast. So of course, if you create thousands of this, it will be slower. But as you can see, the performance of Inventor has really ramped up from previous releases. So as you can see now here, I have this detailed canopy placed on my Inventor. I mean in my Revit model. So we're not gonna do the other level. So we just did the top level here. So what's good about this is once in Revit, for example, here in Revit, if you do some changes, like for example, our change will be for this wall, or this basic wall. So let's say that we change the distance of this wall to this particular wall. Let's say from 11,000, sorry, from 11 meters, I'm going to make this 12 meters. So if I click on enter, the Revit model, of course, will update, right? And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this. So once I save this, I can go back to my Inventor model. And as you can see, there is now a local update available. So I'll click on the local update. And then let's wait for it to update. So now we can see that we should see that this wall should be moved, but I don't think it did. So there's still actually product improvements needed to be done here, because sometimes you need to save the Revit model twice. And then let's update it again. So let's see if it's gonna move now. So hopefully it does. As you can see, the wall has now moved like that. And as you can see, the points, since I referenced them from the Inventor model, also did move or did adapt to the changes from our Revit model. But as you can see, we are having some overlaps, I think. So what I'll do here is, for those to disappear, I can go ahead and select in the Manage tab, Rebuild All, so that it's gonna fix all those issues that you have in the change. So once it has rebuild all, so as you can see, everything's now fine, everything's rebuilt, so no more overlaps and such. So now let's move to how you will move or how you will migrate these detailed parts to your Revit model. So actually in my Revit model, I have a view wherein the canopy, the native RFA canopies are hidden. So in Inventor, what we need to do is to actually author first these canopies into a BIM model. So first, what I want to do is to create another view here. So let's create a view in our representations. So we are at our default view. I'm just gonna copy this. So I have default one. I'll activate that. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna hide the reference model. And also the reference parts, I'm gonna suppress them. And then now, when suppressed, I can now author these guys to a BIM model. So here, I'm authoring it as a BIM component. So you can name this, let's say the family type is canopy. And you can actually provide some descriptions. These are facade, manufacturer. Let's say I'll put my initials here. So model, let's say Mark 1. And then you can also create an Omni class number here depending on your standards. So in this case, I'm not going to do it. So I can also include model properties from Inventor as well. And then now I'm just going to click here, OK, and export this building components into an IFC or RFA file. So I don't want to shrink wrap it. I want it detailed as possible. And then now here, we'll just stick to the default name. Here you have the option to make it an RFA or an IFC file. So in this case, I'll create an IFC file out of it. So for now, there is no RVT file extension, or in the RFA, you cannot reference it immediately back to your Inventor, to your Revit model. So we're gonna stick with IFC so we can immediately see the changes or the canopies in Revit. So now it's exporting the assembly file into an IFC file format. So we're now going. So a while ago we went from Revit to Inventor, then now we're going the other way, which is Inventor to Revit. So please bear with me. This will be over in a while. So here in Revit, while we're waiting for that, what we're gonna do is going to do a link IFC file to our Revit models. Now I'm gonna link IFC. So look for that file. So it's in D. Oops, we're going for Inventor, AnyCAD. So here's our IFC file. Then if we just open it. So the good thing about here is you don't have to place it directly in your model. So the reference points will help us track it to its exact position in the Revit model. So let's just wait for it to load. So if you have questions, please do type it in the chat box. And as you can see now, we have those canopies that we have made in the Inventor environment. Now we have linked it here on our environment in Revit. So that's that. It's pretty much detailed as well. So if you want the RVT file format, it's actually in your temp folder. So you can actually go to your temp folder and look for an RVT file. So you can also try to link this one. So this is the Revit file version of this. So so far, the product team has not yet made the RVT format, the native file format for export back to Revit. So let's just go back to our presentation for a while. So again, to wrap up, Inventor has delivered in this version the professional grade functionality, connected and automated workflows, and of course, the customer driven enhancements made by the Autodesk user community. So we also have the product design and manufacturing collection. So actually Inventor is one of the products in this collection, but with this collection, you have almost all of the tools that you need for product design and manufacturing. So this is the portfolio. So for questions, Che, are we going to answer some questions?
Hello, Sir Jerus.
Yes.
Yes, thank you again for presenting the new features of the Autodesk Inventor 2021 and the detailed demonstration of the functionalities of AnyCAD. So for our Q&A portion, I would like to ask everyone to type in your questions at the chat box. So earlier we have a question from Sir Herminio Lesho. He asked about the training costs for Revit and also Inventor. So, Miss Cherry, can you please share the screen? Hello, Ma'am Che.
Hi, Jerus and Janice. Jerus, do you have an idea about how much is the training cost
Um,
right now?
Currently for our Revit, I think it's about 7,500 for 16 hours. So I'm not that sure. So we can get sir's contact details, and we can email him the exact amount in terms of the quotations. So we can do that. Yeah, we can do that for Revit and Inventor. So I think it's around 7,000 up.
Okay, okay. For that question, we'll just email Sir Sir Herminio Lesho about the flyer and how much the training cost is. Some question is about what if the client doesn't have a Revit? Can they maximize the Inventor?
Oh yeah. Well, basically, again, as I've said a while ago, the AnyCAD technology is a technology meant for every other programs aside from Inventor. So, for example, your clients are working on SolidWorks. You can easily open their files in the Inventor environment. So let's say you have 3D DWG files from your clients and you want to work on them in Inventor. So you don't really have to convert your files. You just have to open them in Inventor. So again, this functionality is a functionality for the BIM designers. So let's say you are collaborating with architects. Now you can actually pitch in by creating detailed models of their families.
Okay. Additional question. Since there are a lot of latest update for the Inventor, so that includes the PDMC, how is the system requirements for their machine or the hardware?
So the system requirements, we have a list of that in the Autodesk Knowledge network. So you can search for it in knowledge.autodesk.com. So I have included some links here. Yeah, so as well as my contact details for those who can't um, ask questions right now. And for the requirements, basically we have a set of certified graphics cards for Inventor, and as well as for the processors, there is a speed requirement in terms of the clock speed of your processors. So can't be specific right now, but we can as well send them the links for our system requirements.
Okay. I think this last question. Since for an AutoCAD user, if they purchase the PDMC, do they have to install every software in it?
So no. Basically, the purpose of the collection is that you have a pool of programs that you can choose to work on. So, for example, your workflow just uses Inventor and AutoCAD, so you don't have to install the other programs. You just have to install what you need. So depending on your workflow. So for example, in my workflow, I'm a CAM specialist. So what I'm gonna install is Inventor, Inventor CAM, and AutoCAD. So that all. And then for the other programs, if ever my workflow changes or if my client wants me to engage in other industries like nesting, and 3D printing, I can install Inventor nesting. I can install other programs. So it does not you don't need to install everything. Um, First of all, that will be tight on your disk space, and that will hurt the performance of your PC. So you don't really have to install everything.
Okay. I think we're up to the last question since we still have a short game. The question is about Autodesk Revit cost. Currently, For AEC collection, since that is where Revit is under, around 110 is the SRP of AEC collection. But in terms of the Revit alone, we'll get back to you, sir, about the exact amount. So that question is from Sir John. So we'll get back to you, sirs. We could email you the details.